The burning in your spirit, welling deep inside. You got a beast inside. I know it's hard to tame it, it's harder to explain it. Can't even get a picture, no matter how you frame it. There's so much pressure with all these external stresses, and definitely try to touch you. Gotta push them through the feeling, even though your mind is reeling. The power's deep inside and leads you if you were willing. Got the power. Can you feel the power? This is the hour to release your power. Got the power.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to season 3 of the Power Shut Up podcast. It seems like it's been forever since we all have been here. I'm excited and nervous as usual. Even though we've done this for years, I'm always nervous, actually every Thursday, but we're kicking off a new season and I'm excited about some of the new guests that we have coming on. And you know, I always try to switch things up. So before we get started, I wanted to welcome everybody in the chat. I see His Divine Appointment, Marquita, Diana. Thank you all so much. D'Angelo, thank you all for tuning in. Please feel free to like, share, and push this out to family and friends, because as you can see, we're going to be talking about the power of silence. But before we do that, we're going to meet a wonderful guest, and I'll tell you about how I met her. And I was like, I got to get on the show and kick off season 3 with her, because I think what she's doing is absolutely amazing. But before we get things started, let me remind you, and I know I said the power of silence because that's what we're going to be talking about, but I do want to remind everybody of when we come on, which is every Thursday, 7 to 8 p.m. starting today. We stream live on Facebook and YouTube. So for those who are over on TikTok, just remember, we're not live on TikTok, but I will share snippets on TikTok. But I wanted to, as I usually do every season, is before we get started, I say happy birthday to anybody who is celebrating a birthday today, this month, or since the last time we talked, because y'all know how I am about celebrating. It don't take much. It can be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. It's a reason to celebrate. So happy birthday to those who are celebrating a birthday. Happy anniversary to anybody who's celebrating love. Y'all know how I am about that. So happy anniversary to those that I've missed over the summer. And I also wanted to say congratulations. Congratulations to anybody who's, I don't know, just started their first podcast, just wrote their first book, just, you know, whatever it is, bought their new house, whatever it is, congratulations to you and keep going. I also wanted to send prayers up to those who are having a rough time these days. I know this year has been pretty rough for me. Since January, things have been moving and grooving. I've been able to retire, but I know that some people are really going through some hard times. So prayers up to everyone who is struggling. You're not alone. And hopefully if you're here tonight, we will put a smile on your face, just having some fun with talking about the power of silence and meeting some new people. So please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe on YouTube and get that notification so you don't miss any of the shows. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to, I'm going to call her Dr. B, but we're going to introduce you, and then you can call her Dr. B, or you can call her by our whole government, whatever. But a little information about Dr. B and what she's out there doing, and then I'm going to let her just share some of the things. So Dr. LaFonda, and make sure I'm pronouncing this right, Beneby? Is that that's how I pronounce it?
Beneby.
Beneby. Mm-hmm. Okay. Dr. LaFonda Beneby graduated from FIU with a bachelor's degree in physical therapy in 1997. She began her career in acute care and outpatient, providing therapy for a variety of patients, including adults and children with orthopedic, neurological, and wound care disorders. In 2004, she discovered her passion as she began working in the school system as a pediatric therapist. In an effort to further build her career, she returned to school to complete her doctorate in physical therapy at AT Still. Is that AT Still University in 2012? She
Mm-hmm.
still continues to provide services as a school-based PT, private home health therapist, and became a tech founder. Now, in addition to that, I wanted to just share this little snippet, then we're going to get into it. But Kids in Motion is a mobile, all-in-one physical therapy app developed by Dr. LaFonda Beneby. Dr. Beneby is a CEO of Therapy in Motion PA. Therapy in Therapy in Motion. PA is a dedicated provider of in-home school and school-based physical therapy to children from kindergarten through 12th grade. With a team of skilled physical therapists, they create tailored treatment plans for children facing disabilities or injuries while offering guidance to rising young athletes. From assessment to rehabilitation, Therapy in Motion PA is committed to helping children achieve their physical milestones and overall wellness, ensuring they reach their full potential. Now, that's the bio, of course, and the information behind it, but we actually have Dr. B here with us. And I was fascinated when I met her confession. I met her on TikTok, and I was like, oh my goodness. I might be late to the party and understanding what she does and who she is, but I felt the need to share her with you all. Just in case y'all didn't know her, y'all need to know her. So, welcome, Dr. B, to the Power Shut Up podcast, season 3.
Thank you so much for the welcome. Welcome. I mean, hello, everybody. Nice to meet you guys.
So, I know we talked a little bit before I, said, hey, I would love to have you as a guest on here, but I do want you to give a little background of, what you do, who you are, and how you got into this amazing app that I just thought was phenomenal. But tell us a little bit about it, and you can be very transparent, whatever you're comfortable with.
Okay. Okay. So the story of me getting into peds needs a little bit of touching on. So the fact that I started out in the hospital, as most new grads should, and what happened was I was married at the time, and we started trying to have a baby. So after suffering infertility issues after years, I went and took a sabbatical from work altogether for like 6 months. During that sabbatical, it was a mental health refresh. It was a physical refresh, after going through miscarriages and things of that nature. And a friend of mine said to me, I don't know what it is that you want to do when you return to the workforce, but the school system is hiring. Now, you have to remember that the first few years of my career, I was working with adults. And so I hadn't had a lot of kids that I worked with. And so I was a little intimidated by it, but never, want to back down from a challenge. I accepted that job. From the day I walked in the door to 2004, I discovered my passion because I believe the infertility issues, you never slight whatever it is that you go through on your journey, because for whatever reason God has you going through something, it is for a reason, whether it is prepare you for the next phase or stage, or to make you aware, or for you to be able to tell and share this to other people who's coming along. That
Absolutely.
prepared me to work with peds. I had a different compassion and love for children after going through my own issues with infertility. And so from that point until now, 21 years, I've been dedicating my life to working with children. Now, that's how I started Therapy in Motion. Started working in the school system, but needed to supplement that income. So I incorporated myself and started seeing kids privately at home. But when 2020 hit, COVID hit all of us and knocked us to our knees.
Mhm.
We had to be quarantined. We're not allowed to see kids in person. And so my parents that were used to seeing me in the home 2 to 3 times a week for an hour each were freaking out. Like, well, what are we gonna do with these kids now? How do we work on what they've been working on? And so I'm stationed in Florida, not stationed like I'm in the military, but here in Florida, they authorized us to do services via telehealth.
Okay.
If you if you understand anything about physical therapy, it's a hands-on intervention, especially when it comes to children. We have to mobilize, manipulate, and facilitate movement with our hands. So I'm like, how am I supposed to do that on the screen? We've never done it.
Right.
necessity is the engine for a whole lot of things. So I had to do it virtually, and I promise you, I was more tired trying to demonstrate in front of a camera how to position myself, how the parents are supposed to place their hands, and then keep that kid engaged all at the same time. So I'm like, let me
That's a lot.
find. It's a lot. It was a lot. I was like, wait, this is too much. Jesus, I can't. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. So I started to look for videos on YouTube and other places that would be able to have videos that would keep a kid engaged and demonstrate that. There wasn't a lot out there for me to use, which is
Mm.
that's the catalyst for why I came up with Kids in Motion app. I created it myself. I couldn't find it, so I created it.
I know that's right. That's what
Yeah,
I'm
so
talking about, though. I love the fact that, and I think that's when you were sharing your story. That was part of it for me was when they say go out there and figure it out. I mean, you went out there, you didn't see something. It's something that was a need because I think COVID
mm,
kind of brought about a lot of things that we didn't realize that we needed, and you didn't
mm-hmm.
just discover that there was a need and then say, okay, so now what? You went out there and said, okay, so if this is what I need, this is what I'm going to do.
Yes, ma'am. With no clue, no idea of that tech world or any of that, I jumped like they tell entrepreneurs all the time, jump off a cliff and just go for it. Yes, I did. Jump right in the middle of the ocean. And I'm like, Lord Jesus, now what?
I love
I don't
it.
know how to do this. But I
And
had
look,
to
and I
figure it out.
still don't, I'm fascinated because I'm like, what was even the first step when you decide, okay, this is the
Hope.
need. Now what do I do? So how did you get there? Because it had to be a whole lot of just head time in your head, wondering this and then reaching out to people and not being scared. So how did that happen?
So originally, what was happening was that COVID was throwing my sleep pattern off. And when I can't sleep, my mind does not rest anyway, which is why I deal with insomnia. So all hours of the night, I had little notes around my room with ideas of design for how I wanted this to look. Finally, I had to put it all into one piece of paper and go to a what do they call app developer. And the first app developer I went through, I've gone through at least three. And let me tell you, sometimes we are difficult to support. Let me just tell you that. I'm just going to be real honest and transparent. The first tech company I went to, and I think part of the reason is me being a Black female tech founder is sort of a unicorn. Okay.
Mm,
Also, being a Black female tech founder in the medical industry is another unicorn. There aren't that many of us in physical therapy anyway. Just to
right.
be honest with the statistics, that is a male dominated profession in most cases. So when you find one of us, they're like, "Oh, you do what?"
Right.
So so now I go into tech and it's the same thing, and it's mostly males that are doing the web developing. And so the first
Mm,
one just gave me a hard time because I had no idea what it would cost for this grand idea that I had. All I know is COVID kept me quarantined for a few months, and I had maybe 10 grand to try and play around with. No idea that this thing was going to cost whatever it cost. So I go to
right.
him and I explain the idea, and he said, "So what's your budget?" I was like, "So what does that really cost?" He's like, "What's
Right.
your budget?" And I said, "Well, I don't really know what the budget should be, but I got 10 grand." He's like, "See, most people come, they don't even have a budget, they don't know." So he just went off on me. Long
Wow.
story short, yeah, he went off. He was real abrasive about it. Then later on, I went to his page. He was going off on a live about people not knowing what their budgets are when they come in to him for it was horrific for me. So obviously, I never went back. He sent me a quote, and originally the man said, "Oh, I can do part of your app. The other gamification portion of it, I'd have to contract it out." So not only are you rude, you're abrasive. You can't even do the full job that I want to hire you for.
Right.
Goodbye. Goodbye.
Next.
Goodbye.
Right.
Next. I was just like, are you kidding me? But you know what? God, he prepared me for the next one. So I came with the next one. I was like, listen, all I need is a minimal viable product for about 10 grand. I said, we can build up once I get investors, get more income. We can make an updated version to the full Monty of what I want. And they were like, okay, we can do that for 10 grand. But the upgraded version for everything you want is going to be about 80 grand.
Wow.
So once I
Mm,
caught my breath and I stabilized my breathing, it's like I was like, wait, time out, time out. Did I remind you? I still work as a physical therapist in the
Right.
school system for a living. Yeah, okay. So he was
Wow.
just like, I understand. I understand. We're going to work with you. We have a project manager. We have someone who works on the pitch deck so they can prepare your project to be presented to investors. I'm like, oh, I'm in good hands. I got everything I need. There were several departments. But what I did do in the process was I hired a business coach because you don't know what you don't know. When you start ventures like this, it's very wise to get a team of people, your attorney, your business coach, as well as someone to help you with finance. If you don't
Absolutely.
have it, helping you to come up with financial strategies, those things are kind of paramount. I didn't know that, but I learned it along the way. And so the second company, as they were working things out, and they were like, okay, we're going to present this pitch deck to you. We have somebody who's an intern who's going to do the research. He came back and he's like, okay, we need to have another meeting to talk to you about the upgrades of the app. And I'm like, okay. I had my business coach on the phone and he said, well, we've discovered that this app does not exist anywhere. And it stands to make some significant money because it is a unicorn. I said, I know that.
Right.
So I was like,
That's why
yeah,
you're
I knew
doing
it
it,
didn't
right?
exist. That's why I created it. So he
Right.
said, so in order to build this app out, it's actually going to cost you $250 to $350,000. Yeah.
Okay. So the number is just going up.
It keeps going up. And as I'm talking, my business coach was on the phone looking at them do the projections, the numbers, the staff that I would need, all this other kind of stuff. And she's sending me text messages in the meeting. She was like, this is complete BS. We are going to abandon ship, and I will get you 3 other tech companies to interview tomorrow. Get all of your stuff, and you should be done. And I was like, okay, no problem. I took her advice. Thank God I did. Walked out the door. And again, I got a recommendation. I interviewed 3 companies, and this other company came on, but they decided they were able to do it. They didn't do the research, so they weren't able to just kind of grab and get the money hungry rates. They were like, okay, we can create your website with the functions of it the same as the mobile app, as well as the mobile app for 54. And I was like, okay. So I get a full functioning website that does the exact same thing as the app and the app for 54. All right, let's go
Hmm.
with that. Let's go with that.
But you know
And
what? And I
it
think
was
that
great.
part of the reason you had to go through those first two was to kind of learn, what's out there so that if you hear this again, you're like, okay, red flag. Or, it was for your team now to kind of pay attention and say, okay, no, that's not what we're looking for. And you don't have to say yes to the first, because I think sometimes you get out there and they think you're really desperate for this. So you're just going to say yes to whatever they say.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
look at God putting the right people around you to say, nah, we can get this done and we ain't got to do it that way.
Exactly. Thank God for her because I had no clue. Again, you don't know what you don't know. I'm in an arena that I'm not familiar with. I'm just trusting God on a lot of this and hoping that these people that He sent in my path were divinely sent. Now, some of that I was like, God, I don't think I heard you on that one because listen, I was listening to something else because maybe this was not the right step. But you know what? Everything was working for my good. I eventually got to the third company, and there was problems even with that company. And the sad thing is that when we got started on the project, he had a young guy who was actually building the app, and the guy was so energetic. He was, LaFonda, we're there for you, whatever you need, da da da. Just energetic. And the owner, was just sitting in the background. Here's our deadline. We'll do this. And we get to the end. When I originally looked at his website to see if this was a company I really wanted to work with, because I work with children, and you want your business affiliated with something that is pleasant or has a good reputation. The website looked pleasant, looked neutral. Somewhere towards the ending of the project, they changed their website to a dreary, dark-looking, witchcrafty website. And
Mm,
then he asked me, "Do you want me to do your marketing for you?" I
wow.
said, "Yeah." I was like, "Just show me what packages you have." And the marketing that he decided to show me was was not good. It was just one of those things where you can keep me on the hook, charging me a monthly fee for something that you're doing. And so I was like, no, we're going to do marketing outside. And that's when it kind of turned. Um,
Mm.
I started to see the evilness. They Once they released my app, they transferred all the data over to the storage. Um, I'm ready to do my launch party and trying to use my app, and it's not working. I'm still
Wow.
sending emails. I'm panicking. Sending emails. I remember this was 2022. Sending emails. The launch party was in March. Sending emails and not getting any response. And finally, I sent a direct text to the guy that built it within the company, and he said to me, "They didn't tell you." I was like, "Tell me what?" He's like, "They fired me. I went on vacation, came back, they fired me, shut down the app development portion of the company. So you have no tech support." I was like, "Excuse me, say what?"
Oh my.
So when I finally got in contact with the owner, I was like, "Listen, this is not working." He was just like, "Do you have another tech company that you're working with?" I was like, "Yeah, you." He's like, "Well, once we transferred everything over, we don't have access." I was like, "How could you not have access to the very codes and passwords that you gave me?" And I said, "You
Hmm.
do understand, we signed an agreement, and in that agreement, the attorney specifically specified that you are staying on for tech support after launch." Oh, well, let me talk to my team. Oh, now I'll remind you of the legalities of the contract that you signed. Now you got your amnesia disappear, right? Okay.
Right. Right.
So yeah, it was, when I tell you, it's been a constant back and forth. Needless to say, they ended up working with the guy that they fired to get it reinstated, and he just told me everything that they did wrong. So I went to my attorney and I was just like, "Listen, what does this mean?" Because I didn't get what was delivered to me. I'm gonna now have to pay this guy that they have fired, and this was a part of the contract. She's like, "You need to get your billable hours. Everything that's not functioning, have him to itemize it out. We need to put times in." He looked at me and he was like, "LaFonda, I feel so sorry for how they did this. I'm not going to charge you for this. I just need to help
Wow.
you." Look at God, okay? "I just need
Yes.
to help you get back up. I got another job. I'm working, but in my off after work, I'll get it back up and running, and I'll send you that grid of everything's not working." Jesus.
Wow.
But
What a blessing.
a complete blessing. But I ended up, thank God, that last payment of $13,500 was paid on a credit card. That money was taken back because I didn't get what I paid for. All I would have to pay him would probably end up being that for tech support. And then they weren't answering my calls after it. He was taking care of everything. So they stopped answering my calls. Once that credit card
Mm.
withdrew that money, they all of a sudden learned my number again.
Right. Right. Look, that amnesia is
Yeah,
gone again, right?
it is, but we're here. We're here. Thank God, everything is up and running. And besides updates and stuff like that, thank God that he's still working with me. The kid is still working with me. He's a young kid,
Uh-huh.
so he's still on board.
Well,
Thank
they
God.
say when you're working on something that's just going to positively affect lives, sometimes, things come in and try to, just throw a wrench in things. So, but they didn't stop nothing. So,
No.
people, really get greedy, and or they hate on what's going on, and but they don't know who covers you, right? So they were
Absolutely.
like, "Oh, she gonna get through this. Y'all can block this if you want to, but it's going to happen." And I'm so glad, because what you
Mm-hmm.
did was, in this unicorn, because I love that you called it a unicorn. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
now you are the first. If it was never out there before, you are the first, and you're able to teach people who maybe get into this vein and want to do something. You actually have learned some ins and outs of what to do, what to look for. So I think you were on this journey
Mm-hmm.
for a very specific reason. And you had to
Right.
experience these things to know, what's supposed to happen, what's not supposed to happen. So I wanted to give a little background. I pulled some information on Kids in Motion. So I wanted to share with the guests who are in here today the mission of Kids in Motion, just so you can get a little idea of what it is. So the mission is to develop a creative approach for physical therapists to improve their patient engagement that is flexible, portable, and offers improved technology tools available to effectively deliver care. This is like major on so many levels. I don't have any other words right now, but just to say thank you for following your assignment, because he gave this to you and you took it, you ran with it. And I mean, sometimes people get these assignments and they don't move on them because they're scared or they don't know what to do. And you didn't let any of that stop you. And now, even through disappointments with running into people who didn't mean you well and all that, you kept going. And so I just applaud you for that, because this is wonderful what you are doing. And I never even thought that there was an app to do something like this. But these are some of the pluses that come out of when I say COVID was really a moment for people to really tap in. And that's exactly what you did. A lot of people wasted that moment. And that's unfortunate, because we all lose when we don't follow our assignments. But we can't say that about Dr. B, because she went created a whole app. Okay. So I absolutely love it. Is there anything else? When did the app actually come or go live rather?
In 2022. I think it's 2022. I should remember that in my head, but the aging starting to fog my brain. 2022 is when
Oh,
it went
look
live.
at that. So look at the alignment. So Marquita, thank you for joining. Marquita says our agency uses Kids in Motion. And Marquita is going to be a guest on the show too, but she actually is in that area as well. So how about that?
Wow.
How about that?
They use Kids in Motion. What do you mean they use Kids in Motion?
Yeah, Marquita, if you can, in the chat, share what you mean by how do they use it. This is awesome. But you all, I wanted to bring Dr. B on. Initially, I usually kick off the season just kind of sharing with you a little bit about what the Power Shut Up is. And we're going to do that in just a minute. But when I talked to her, when I met her on TikTok, I was just like, this is absolutely amazing. Plus, I mean, maybe call me a little biased, but to see a Black woman who has started an app and you're in the area of helping young people and children, I mean, those are all the pulls that was like, okay, I gotta have her on the show to just talk about it, and definitely want her to come back, because, I know it wasn't easy. I know it wasn't an easy journey in pushing this through, and people need to know, because a lot of people just see the end result and they're thinking, oh, I could do that too. And they don't know what it took. And your story behind what motivated you in that area. So Marquita said brain injury serves.
Okay.
So I'm definitely hoping that you all connect. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm late to the party because Marquita already know what I'm talking about with you, Dr. B. Like, I already know about that. I love it.
Wow. Yeah, it's awesome.
So I thank you for we're actually gonna switch gears a little bit and talk about the power of silence, but we're still going to connect it to Dr. B and what she does, because when we talk about the power of silence, I think we can go in several directions. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be indifferent. And some of you all have been on for years as I talk about this, but others are new to the Power Shut Up, and I hope you continue to return. But I think, in the power of silence is something we could talk about all the time. So I did ask Dr. B a question behind the scenes before we came live, and I wanted her to know I wanted her to share rather how the power of silence played a role in even this process of her getting this app together, the things you went through in your life personally. How did the power of silence play a role? Because I know for me, I speak from a space of having something to say all the time. I really did want to have something to say all the time. I had to get the last word. I'm being very transparent and honest, y'all, so y'all can't get me with it. I already know, but no, I had to have the last word, and I thought being quiet was I actually viewed it as a bad thing because I felt like you were taking my voice away if you were telling me that I can't say something. I can't say what's on my mind. I can't speak my mind. So for me, it was a negative to suggest that I be quiet about something. Like, how dare you? And that's the feedback I got from people when I even kicked off the book in 2019 with The Power Shut Up. And it was mostly women. But the attitude was, how dare you tell me to be quiet? I fought hard for this voice, and now you telling me to be quiet. But I come from a different perspective and a positive way about being silent. But for you, what when you think about the power of silence, what did what did that mean to you, and where are you now with it?
So initially for me, I'm thinking silence when you have big ideas and things like that, and you're moving in a way that's different and you need to hear from God. It's important to be silent so you hear from God and you don't hear the noise of small-minded people or people around you who want to be dream killers. So that's what the power of silence will do for me. Now I'll tell you, as an introvert, I was typically the quiet child and the silent child anyway. So letting people know what I was doing was not normally me until I started to get scared and get stuck. See, when I'm scared, I talk a little bit more to people I trust. So, in this regard, the power of silence was for me to kind of keep what I was doing quiet until it was at a stage where it was healthy and it could thrive. It's just like when you're pregnant, and I
Mm-hmm.
again, infertility issues relates it back to me. The moms generally don't say anything that first trimester until they're sure they get to that next stage and it's a better chance for that baby to survive. Same thing with this project. It was for me to nurse this baby until it was, able to thrive a little bit more before I was able to open my mouth about it.
Yeah, I get that. And Business Pro says it means repositioning for me, focus, clarity,
Mm,
and purpose. And that's where
mm,
I've grown to understand the power of silence. But I wasn't always there. And I wasn't even where you
mm,
mentioned, where you kind of be quiet until things are good. And it's kind of like what they tell you when you're pregnant: be careful, just wait to a certain time. And me back in the day, I'd have had no patience whatsoever. So I didn't hold anything. So I went from, being younger as a little girl, I had a lot to say, but I never said it. Because
mm,
I just didn't think people would value what I had to say. Didn't mean I didn't have a lot to say, but I was like, they ain't gonna listen to me. So I stayed
mm,
quiet a lot, but then I went all the way to the left and was like, I don't like it here because people just kind of step over you. They don't listen. They just walk over you. So I was like, I don't like that feeling. So let me just let it all hang out. And I
mm,
didn't like myself in that position either. I was like, I don't know if I like this feeling. So I had to find that sweet spot. And it took me years to find it. I had to go through some stuff. And as we go through the Power Shut Up podcast this season, I'm going to really dig further into, like you shared, how you got to even start to think about what your purpose was. There were some health issues that I went through based on me running my mouth, believe it or not.
mm,
And I went through something that just shook my world. And I do to this day,
mm.
I say, God just said, okay, she need to shut up. Like, not be
Oh, wow.
quiet or shh. It was, she need to shut up. She is talking way too much. And it had nothing to
Wow.
do with me being wrong or don't know what I'm talking. It had nothing to do with none of that. It just wasn't healthy for me to be talking about things over and over and over again that you couldn't change. Just a whole lot of things went into that. But when I went into when I had these experiences, it actually changed my whole life. And when I say that, I mean that it changed my whole life personally. Just me knowing who I was and getting in touch with me, but also with my marriage, with my kids. I know I laugh about it now, but learning the power shut up. My kids are all grown now, but of course, the laughing comment is, "Oh, so now you get it." But I mean, better late than never, right? But on the power
Right.
shut up, those are the things we're going to talk about because I mean, I do think that we are in a world where everybody is popping off, and I can say what I want to say, and technically speaking, once you say it, yeah, it came out your mouth. But let's talk about what happens once you release whatever it is you had to say. There are consequences to everything we say. And we also going to talk about how we talk to ourselves. Because sometimes, the damage is how we're talking to ourselves. Because first thing in the morning, it's just you and God. So what you saying? And I want to tap into that because a lot of times we don't deal with self in that regard. And people do, to me, using your voice. I think we take advantage of that gift of we're blessed to be able to, speak and share. But I think sometimes we lack the accountability behind it. So we just kind of willy-nilly go out here and do stuff and say stuff, and there's responsibility with using your words. I believe that. So that's something we talk about here. And even when you talked about, and I wanted to ask you, like when you're, with the kids and you're working with them, I think, the power shut up or the power of silence actually really probably comes into play a lot, because it can be a frustrating position sometimes. So how does that come into play when you're working with clients and things? Because you have to be very, and I'm just guessing,
diplomatic with my words. Yes,
yeah.
you're right.
I mean, because I was like, it has to be a hard position. I think about when I was working. Thank goodness I'm retired now, y'all. But when I was working, there were many times when I had to. Well, I didn't always do the right thing, but I'm thinking out loud as we talking, but I'm
I
thinking,
hear you.
yeah, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't always do this right. But, we do have to be careful on what we say on our jobs and what we say to our friends and our family. Because words, yeah, you can't take them back, so how is that? Because you had to develop that, I'm sure,
Yeah.
through work.
Yeah, I had to learn to use discretion, use politically correct words, be, discreet about certain things, talk in a certain way because, different cultures do different things. And one of the things that is prevalent in most children with disabilities is their behaviors may be a little bit more aggressive or extreme or hard to control than your normal kid. And so when parents see that, because they have their baby with a disability, they kind of fall back on that.
Okay.
And I had to tell these moms, well, one of the moms in particular, because when I met this little girl, she was 3 years old, and I already knew just from initial glance that she was running the house. I was like, she's the smallest thing in the house, and she's running the house. I said, so her teen years, and I'm telling you right now, her teen years are going to be real difficult for you because it's not that she doesn't need discipline. It's not that she doesn't completely understand. She does have cognitive impairment. But what that
Mhm.
means is she needs more reinforcement. Not that you lay off the reinforcement completely, that you
Okay.
give her more input, you give her more cues, because you lay off of that, you're going to have a little wild child. Now, to some degree, she still is. And I believe that in most cases, she keeps me on because the child knows I don't play.
Okay.
And it's not that she doesn't need the physical therapy, but she can't control her. She has to
Mhm.
get dad to step in. And she would ask me, even during COVID, when I would try and work with her on screen, that meant she had to be in the room doing the hands-on stuff. And she yelled out, she's like, is this what she does when you're here? She ran out of the room. I said, she doesn't do that with me. And she's like, well, how do you keep her from? I said, well, first of all, I'm positioned in front of the door. Second of all, once I look at her and say something, I don't get that response. She knows the boundaries can be pushed with you. I said, so I wanted to say, because you don't discipline her, that's why she does that. But
That's
I
what you
had to
wanted to
shut
say,
up.
right?
That's what I wanted to say. I can't tell you you need to discipline her in a specific way, but I'm telling you, you have to set boundaries for her and you have to be firm. And so she was just like, oh, okay. Now, see, we were having a different conversation. At my house, that looks different.
Right.
Disability or not. You understand what I'm saying? That looks a little different. Now, they may not want you to do that out in these streets, but I'm just telling you, I'm real. So yeah,
Yeah,
this
and
is
I was I was like that too. But I did, so my confession, and I've confessed. So if y'all heard me confess this before, I know. But when I was, a mom, and my kids were younger, I was a yeller. I mean, and I admit that I was a yeller, and I think my not making any excuses for it, but I think that because when we say something to our kids or whoever and they act like they didn't hear you or they don't listen or whatever, I get frustrated. So as a young mom, I was just like, okay, well, let me see how I can meet them halfway with this. So my sense was, since you didn't hear me on level 2 when I was trying to be kind and low key and you didn't respond, why don't I just save all of us some time and start on 10? That was my logic, okay? Not saying it was the best logic, but that's how I became the yeller. And it wasn't until my husband and I we had different ways of communicating with the kids. And he was definitely not a yeller. He was more calm and controlled. But sometimes I thought, oh no, you got to get into these kids. Like, you got to let them know whatever. So we had to meet each other in the middle. And I had to actually, to business person, all I had to do was look. Right, right. And for dads, sometimes that works, and for moms, but these kids are smart, so they knew who to go to, who not to go to. They knew who would say yes, who would say no. I was the knower, I was the bad cop, and I was
yeah.
good with that position. It didn't bother me too much. But I do realize that sometimes we don't realize when we're raising our voices and we're hollering and we're screaming, they're not taking their half of what you're saying. So yes, I was late to the
No.
party, but I can say it now to my kids. They're all grown, but I didn't have to yell all the time. I did not. But it takes, even at whatever big age we are, we can admit to, what we didn't do the best as we were mothering or, parenting our children. But I do also say this to adults. And Business Pro said, absolutely, kids know who they can play with. They really do. And we think they don't know, but they do know.
They
But
do.
what I also say, one of the first things that I say when I'm talking about the power shut up, and I might be speaking or doing some kind of lunch and learn or something like that, I'll say, everybody in the room, raise your hand if you thought, when you saw the title, The Power Shut Up, and I said I had a book, how many of you said, oh, I know exactly who needs to read this book? And I always have people raise their hand saying, oh yeah, I said my sister needed it. I said my mother needs it. And I said, okay, so let me give you a little insight. If you name somebody who you felt needed this book, you should have had your name on the list, because that means the book is for you too. And that's because the power shut up is really about you. It's self-help for you. I am not, and I know jokingly somebody said this to me and said, oh, so now I can go. I'm not telling you all, I'm not giving you license to go out there and tell people to shut up. That is not what I'm doing. I'm actually suggesting that we tell ourselves sometimes to be quiet and shut up, because now you can't get me with it. I do admit that there were times back in the day where, whether it's a defense mechanism, or some people do it because they're fighting back, they're feeling like they're not being heard, so they talk a lot, or there are all kind of reasons why people will talk, and I wasn't really getting to the bottom of what that was. So I had to and welcome to everybody. You all, I see you all in here. Thank you so much. If you all have any comments, please drop them in the chat. This is just the beginning of season 3, so we're going to have this conversation. But I appreciate Dr. B, because I was thinking when you were talking about what you did, I said, well, she definitely had to learn how to, not say the first thing that comes to your head, because that
Yeah.
that's a skill set. And I'm telling you from real life. It wasn't like one day I said, ooh, I just need to shut my mouth, and then all of a sudden my mouth was shut on stuff. No, it didn't work like that at all. Actually, I pick up my book quite often, to be honest with you.
Well, that's a good thing.
Myself.
See, but that's a good thing. You identify in yourself the need to improve. See, a lot of times people are not self-aware. That's where the problem is. So the first step is identifying that you have something to work on. So most people are
Look,
unaware.
self-awareness is something else, ain't it? That's a
I'm
whole nother
telling
topic
you.
to talk about
Because I
because
promise, listen, I just said that today. Somebody was like, see, my problem, your problem is you're not self-aware. You can see everybody else, but you're not aware of your own self. And because here's the
mm,
thing, and I'm not going to take too much of your time. And I
no,
had
you
this young
good.
lady. She came up to me, not a young lady, an older lady retiring, not, she's retiring age in nursing, working in the school system. And she walked up to me and she was like, are you a new teacher? And I was like, no, ma'am, I'm a physical therapist. And she was like, oh, there was another therapist here before you. And I said, yeah, I called out her name. And she said, yeah, I looked at her and I thought, I said, well, you mean the heavy set one? She was like, yeah, that's not a good look for a physical therapist to be heavy set. And I'm like, she's like, well, you know what I mean, right? And I was like, see, that's when the power of shut up should have became in with her. But I had to listen, I had to use the power of shut up because I'm thinking to myself, you are a nurse who is heavy set, which means you're not looking the most healthy. You could see the edema in her legs. And I'm just like, but you have the audacity to say, I I had to try and use the power shut up and just be real diplomatic. And I said, I understand what you're saying. And leave it at that. Because one, I
Right.
respect my elders, but two, it was just like, Lord Jesus. And I immediately got on the phone ranting because I was like, I can't bottle this anymore. You not know what happened. And so it's like, I can shut
Yeah.
up, but then I'm going to have to unleash somewhere.
Right. Well, yeah, it got to come. Well, look, I was getting ready, but it's got to come out somehow, right? You like it's got to come out
Yeah.
somewhere. Business Pro said, not disclosing every fleeting thought or harmless attraction can prevent unnecessary hurt and conflict. Oh, drama. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Um, and we do need to dig into, which we will this whole season. I want us to dig into why we feel the need to because that was really the thing for me. Why did I feel the need to have to respond? Why did I feel the need to have to say something? There are really more opportunities than not when nothing needs to be said. But let's I don't want us to get this twisted. For me, silence can also be used as a weapon. So there's two sides to this coin. And I think that's where we play in the middle sometimes, where people use their silence to really control people and their emotions, especially if you know it's their button. And for me, it was a button. Like you couldn't walk around me being silent and not talking to me like, who you think you are? You gonna talk to me. That's who I was. Like, don't ignore me. I mean, I'm being honest. Y'all raise your hand if that was you. I was like, how you gonna walk around me and don't say nothing? Like, who
Oh
you think you
no. I was
are?
good with the silent treatment. I could do it. We can go. Let's be
And there's a
silent. You can
lot of people that are good with the
I can
silent treatment. So I'm challenging y'all. So wait a minute, let me read some of the comments because then we're gonna talk about that real quick. Um, it's easy for some to point out another before themselves. Absolutely. And that's where self-awareness comes in because it's real easy to point out somebody else. And sometimes we don't realize what we notice in them, the reason we notice it, because maybe we possess some of that. So maybe that's why
hmm
it rings a bell because you've seen it before. You might see it every day.
in the
Ain't
mirror. Yeah.
you ain't
Exactly.
claiming it, right? So um and Lisa said it's hard. And it is. And you just have to make the commitment. For me, I decided, okay, Lisa, what's your issue? My issue was my mouth. I know that's a hard thing, especially for women. I would even say especially for Black women to say, but my mouth was the problem. And that's not in any way saying that I was running my mouth about stuff I don't know about. And it doesn't mean any of that. It just means that I had to learn how to use my voice in a productive way. And sometimes, even if you see something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to say it. Um, and we're just going to keep tapping into what that means. So I want to thank you so much, Dr. B. We're going to call it Dr. B over here. So you stuck with us now that you've been on the show. You're part of the Power Shut Up family. But thank you so much for
Absolutely.
joining us. Business Pro
You're
said,
welcome.
and as an introvert, he's an introvert as well. And Marquita said, right. So what I want to do before everybody leaves, and we're going to have a little bit of fun. And that's why I said hour sometimes is when we start to have some fun with this. So what I thought about was I want to show a picture of two words that I scrambled. And I want to see who can unscramble those words for me. So Dr. B, if you get it, you can't say nothing, okay?
Okay.
Don't say nothing, but we're going to put these 2 words up here. And I just want to see in the chat, please see if you can unscramble both of these words. So I'm going to give you about a minute. I'm looking in the chat. Y'all tell me what, unscramble, what do these 2 words say? And I'm going to give you a minute and then I'm going to take it down. But what do these 2 words, unscramble, what do they say? Drop it in the chat for me. I just want to see something. It's a test. Diana, not quite. Come on, y'all. Okay.
Lisa got one.
Lisa got one. There's another word up here. So I'm going to take it down in a minute, but Lisa got one of them. There's another word, unscrambled. What does it say? You said silent twice. There's another word. Lisa trying to be slick. There's another word. And I think I'll give it to you. Did somebody get it? Hold on.
I didn't see it.
Business Pro says silent too. There's another word. Y'all got it? Okay, so no. I'm gonna give it to y'all. Let me I'm gonna take this off the screen. So, and the reason I did this, DJ Coco Ro got it.
Yeah, she got it.
So it was listen. And I just wanted to play with that, have a little fun with it because it does connect to what we're talking about. But for those who didn't know, because I do like for people to maybe learn something that they didn't know when they first came on, but listen and silent use the same words. And I think that that's really interesting because Business Pro said, let me put my glasses on. Yes, we need those. With our big old ages, we need our glasses on, y'all know. But silent and listen are connected. And we don't connect those enough. There's a reason. Silence allows you to be able to listen, to hear those downloads. So there's a direct connect. And I thought it was very interesting that those 2 words are spelled with the same letters. And we're going to talk, of course, more about that. Oh my God, I should have got that one. It's okay. Now you're going to get it. Every time you see it, you're going to get it. D'Angelo said, listen too. So that's just something that you might not have known. And then I wanted to share. So I thought that would be fun to do. But I also wanted to share before I give you a few announcements. And then we find out how you can stay connected to Dr. Beneby. I wanted to share with you because this is the month of September, right? So you all know sometimes I try to share some awareness, health awareness in the month of September or each month. So I have 5 for September that I wanted you all to be aware of. So just mark these down. Oh, Diane said I meant to say listen. Oh, okay, we got you. So if you didn't know, this month is Prostate Cancer Awareness Month. So I'm not sure if everyone knew that, but I mean, I think that's a big one. It's something we should talk more about. And I hope to be able to have, some guests on to talk about that related to the men. Because we always love men's topics. So Prostate Cancer Awareness Month is this month. And it's also Prostate Health Awareness Month. It's also National Suicide Prevention Month, which is September 10th. So I want you all to keep that in mind. And this is the connection to Dr. B. And I did not know this. I just say, when you have somebody as a guest and you think about how it's aligned and why it happened the way it did, I did not realize that World Physical Therapy Day was September 8th. I didn't know that. Okay. So now I know something, and now I know why I was like, Dr. B has to be on the show. And I didn't find that out until hours before we went live. So that's how God works. I'm just telling y'all, it's real. World Alzheimer's Month is also this month. And you all know I have a direct connect with that because my grandmother passed away from Alzheimer's. And I think we should be more aware of Alzheimer's. I think a lot of times people don't understand what's involved with Alzheimer's. And so we will probably talk more about that as well. And the last one was National Sickle Cell Month. So for those who didn't know, I didn't remember that September was the month for that. So keep that in mind. I always like to just kind of go out there and see what's related to, the month that we're in, just as a reminder. So a couple little fun facts that will take us into next week is that I found something for each day of September up until next Wednesday, since I won't see you all till Thursday. And you all let me know if you knew this, but also mark it down in your calendar. These are just some fun little facts about awareness. So did you all know, because it was September 1st, that September 1st was National Little Black Dress Day? Now, all of the ladies, did you have your little black dress that when you go out on your dates or whatever? I didn't know that. I do have a black dress, but I didn't know that they had a day. So September 1st is National Little Black Dress Day. So September 2nd, World Coconut Day. Now, this doesn't apply to those who are allergic to coconut. I'm not telling you to go out there and do nothing about it. But if you like coconuts, World Coconut Day is September 2nd. So moving closer to today, National Skyscraper Day is on the 3rd of September. I don't know. Maybe there's some architects in the building who care a lot about that. I don't know. But I thought that was interesting. So today is National Wildlife Day. So I know a lot of us don't like those critters out there, but give them a break today. The chipmunks and the whatever, give them a break today. It's National Wildlife Day. So for all of those moms who get criticized, whether we, tired, not moving around or whatever, for tomorrow, it is officially National Lazy Moms Day. So we get a day to be lazy and can't nobody say nothing about it. Not that we care any other day, but I'm just saying. Okay. And this is going to be my shameless plug, because I'm not shameful. September 6th is National Read a Book Day. So I'm encouraging you all to go out there and get The Power of Shut Up as a book that you can read. There are many others as well. I have a children's book out there and other books that I've co-authored, but this is my baby right here. So for the 6th, you can go out there and get it today if you want to. I'm just saying, go ahead and get your Power Shut Up book. You can actually inbox me and I can give you a signed copy, or you can go out on Amazon or Barnes and Noble. But please go out there and get you a good book to read for National Read a Book Day. And just to go through the rest, the 7th is National Salami Day and Beer Lovers Day. I don't like either, but if you are a fan of those, you have a day. I just wanted to let you know. And for the Trekkies, anybody who likes Star Trek, you probably already know this, but September 8th is Star Trek Day. I didn't know they had a day, but it kind of makes sense because they're serious about that. They really are.
Yeah.
And the 9th is National Teddy Bear Day. I think every day should be National Teddy Bear Day. I love teddy bears. I'm just saying. I'm kind of mushy-gushy like that. And for the 10th, which is our last day before we have another show on the 11th, National Swap Ideas and TV Dinner Day is on September 10th. Now, I didn't even know they made TV dinners anymore. And just to be honest with you, when we were kids and we ate them, the food wasn't really that good, but we did look forward to sitting in front of the TV and eating them, but the food wasn't really that great. But they might be better now. So, hey, go out there and get you a TV dinner and swap ideas. I think that's a great idea any day. So I wanted to thank you all for tuning in, but Dr. B, please let everybody know where they can find you, connect with you, and stay. If they need the app, Marquita already knows about the app, but please let everybody know how they can stay connected with you.
Okay, so I want to make sure that you have the right information. There's several Kids in Motion, but my app is KIDZ-in-motion. So it's a little bit different than the Kids in Motion app. There you go. She's got it right there.
Okay. So this is on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and your app.
Right. The only difference is my IG page changed back to the company name Therapy in Motion. But if you put it in there, so it's for my Instagram is Therapy in Motion PA. It's not Kids in Motion. I changed it back.
Okay. So
but everything else you got is correct.
Okay, sounds good. And you all please connect with her. I found her out on TikTok, but she's everywhere. She's doing some amazing things. And I really appreciate you coming on to the show. Thanks everybody for commenting. And I wanted to give you something to let you know what I'm working on coming for the next show. We'll talk about this too. But for those who don't know, I have been working behind the scenes on launching my new coaching and consulting business. So for those who didn't know, and I haven't put the logo out and things like that, but coming soon is Launchpad Coaching and Consulting by Dr. Lisa Dove Washington. And what I'll be doing with this is for all of those people in the different areas that I've done things for years, whether it's podcasting, radio, starting your own magazine, publishing, being an author. But I want to help people to launch those businesses or things that they're wanting to do and give them some of the ins and outs. Because what I'm noticing when I'm working is some of my clients don't know the basics. And a lot of times what happens, and I'm just being very transparent, sometimes we get out here and we're doing the wrong thing for a long time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you get with someone who maybe knows how the industry works and that kind of thing, you're fighting it because you've always been doing it this way. So this is going to be to help people to prepare for whatever they're getting ready to launch into. And of course, I want to be a catalyst for those who are wanting to go out there and live their dreams and doing whatever they want to do. And so however I can help. And some of the things that I'll share with them are really things you would think are small, but they're things that really make an impact when you think about it long term. So that more to come with that, but I would like to leave you all with this. And I try to, what I'm starting new with the Power Shut Up podcast is to try to leave you with something that really takes this back to the reason that talking about the power of shut up, the power of silence, the power of listening, why all of those things are so important. But I'm going to leave you with Proverbs 11:12. He that is void of wisdom despises his neighbor, but a man of understanding holdeth his peace. So just keep that in mind. We don't have to say everything that we think, and we're not always right. So just because you thought it, don't make it so. So just be open, stay teachable, and let's work together to build communication in a way so that we all understand one another. And it doesn't by any means mean that we need to agree on everything, but at least hear each other out, try to understand a different perspective, and we can do better in this area. So that's what the Power Shut Up is all about. We'll continue to talk about this. I absolutely appreciate you, Dr. B, for joining me. I hope that we can have you come back and talk more about, we'll have all kind of areas in the area of the Power Shut Up. But I appreciate you, and I look forward to seeing you all next Thursday. So
absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you guys so much in the comments for the support, the encouraging words. I appreciate that. Marquita, you got it right. I saw you spelled it out. And Diana, you may have seen me. There are 2 accounts on TikTok. There is the Kids in Motion app page, which is my business page on TikTok. And then there's a Dr. B page where I get a little bit more personable on that page, showing who I am. So you may have
y'all
seen
check her out. Yes, please go check her out. She goes live on TikTok. Check her out, support her. That's what we're here to bring people together and support them. And there will be opportunities for sponsoring an episode on the Power Shut Up or even a year of shows. So stay tuned for more information on that and commercials too. So thank you so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Until Thursday, behave yourself, at least most of the time.
All right. Good night.